Deworming is something that needs to be done routinely in the horse, mainly because as a grazing animal, they get constantly bombarded and reinfected with eggs. And I mean, basically parasites, intestinal parasites are a real long-term common problem in the horse. One of the bigger problems we have is resistance to the antiemetics that we have available to us. So that's why regular worming is really important. And I recommend you worm at least 4 times per year, at least once every 3 months or every 90 days. In special cases when your horses are extremely crowded, you have high population and demands, you probably should look at worming every 60 days because the intestinal load on the individuals becomes really affects their growing, their ability to assimilate their the feedstuffs that are available to them, and it will certainly affect the ability of the intestinal tract to absorb and provide nutrients for the rest of the system if the worm burden is extremely high in high population or densely populated areas.
Do you think in certain areas where people live or have that turn out a lot and graze a lot and have a lot of horses, they should do fecal tests once a year, twice a year?
It would probably be indicated in the real high populated areas for sure. Knowing that you're going to get infections, of worms, you're going to go ahead and need to go ahead and worm no matter what, and having a complete rotational system where I utilize fenbendazole primarily, and then have an annual of ivermectin, usually in the fall after a freeze. So we go ahead and get potential bots and fly once the fly population is gone as well. So it's just overall something that's going to be necessary. You're going to have to do it, and having a plan and having it institute and utilizing it preventatively from the get-go is probably the best policy to have instituted when you own horses and have a large population.
What are the consequences of not having a program like that, or what does a horse look like that might have some issues like that?
Well, besides the obvious fact that they'll have obvious, real, apparent infections, and they'll have, they won't do as well, they won't have as good a weight, their coat won't be nearly as healthy as those that are being done, or compared to their contemporaries that would be done. You see increased cases of colic, you see increased problems with ulcers, you see, bigger, overall, less development. They don't tend to, do as well as far as development, and they just don't do as well. They're just not as healthy, and they're not nearly as thrifty an animal as one that's getting wormed regularly.
So there's some serious side effects. I mean, if obviously we talk about preventative versus restorative medicine. If you don't do this simple program 4 times a year, you could have some serious consequences.
Oh, you could have more serious consequences. You could basically lose your herd. You could lose individuals, high-end individuals, due to a worm burden, or potentially colic cases that you could lose, or they could expire due to that, as much as anything.
Yeah.